And good evening, and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner. My name is Ralph Williams. Those of you out there, if it's your first time listening or watching, believe it or not, this is my first appearance on StreamYard. So we've moved our show also on Anchor and Podbean as well. And we are also on outlets here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm broadcasting from. We're on PCTV, Channel 21, Comcast, Channel 47, Verizon in the Pittsburgh area if you live in Allegheny County. Outside of Allegheny County, you can catch us on PCTV and their Facebook page, and also on my Facebook page as well. Sunday nights at 9 p.m., Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams, on Facebook, and also on 9:30 edition of The Way I See It. I have two shows. Tonight we're going to do Sports Corner. Friday we're going to do The Way I See It podcast right here, as we do every single Tuesday and Friday. But tonight's my first night here on StreamYard, and we are on YouTube as well. It's great to have everyone on board here. Post your comments, please, in the line if you like the show and what you think about my show here on YouTube. Tonight we have a lot to as the the way that he came out about with it and how the NFL is handling it. And now I believe that the Rooney Rule is being manipulated, and that came from Dan Rooney, the late Dan Rooney, the owner of the Steelers, and the family owns the Steelers. His son Art II, who unfortunately is one of the owners of the Steelers. We're going to talk later on too about that as well. And also, if you live in the Pittsburgh area, Park TV, we're all going to be on for the sports year in review extravaganza, and that's going to be great because we're going to talk about all of what happened in Pittsburgh. Be a wonderful show. I'm hosting it, but beside me it's going to be Claudia Rosano and Smoking Jim Frazier. On Zoom, we're going to have Luther Dupree and Alan Levine, the Talking Machine. 5 of us talking sports. The year in review, Sports Spectacular. It's the very first time that we have done this, and it's a long time. Okay, let's get into some discussion here about the Steelers, as we always do. I just got word today that the Steelers hired Frishman Jackson as their new wide receivers coach. Ike Hilliard has been fired. I didn't expect that to happen. Ike Hilliard was actually a pretty decent coach, but a lot of my friends that were talking to me earlier today said that they believe it was because of the way Deontay Johnson's dropping passes and some of the Juju didn't. Commentator and former Pitt player and NFL star Louis Riddick for their general manager's position. Louis will be a great guy. I tell you what, I found out that he does a lot of detailed things. He's very, very thorough, very articulate in what he does, and he's very professional. I think he might make that a good GM if they decide to hire him. They're going to interview him. He's one of several outside candidates that they have interviewed so far. And the internal ones are Brandon Hunt and Omar Khan. So far are the interior candidates. As you well know, Kevin Colbert is going to step down as the Steelers GM right after the draft, which of course was kind of surprising to me. He's going to be in a more of a different kind of a role. They said in a lesser role within the organization, eventually stepping away. Kevin Colbert's trying to spend more time with his family. Just bought a house down in Myrtle Beach, and he's trying to do that, I believe. And, I think he's been in the league. He's been with the Steelers for since 2000. So, that's 22 years with one organization. Then he was with the Detroit Lions before that. So we'll see what happens when Kevin Colbert steps away and goes into a lesser role. All right. Also, the Steelers Senior Bowl, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about the Senior Bowl later on, but new defensive coordinators, Terrell Austin, another former Pitt player, but he was already on the team as the defensive backs coach, and he is also the assistant defensive coordinator behind Keith Butler, who just resigned recently. The Steelers are they don't call it a rebuild, they call it an overhaul. They have a lot of players they have to get. They have several different positions of players that they need. They have to go into the draft and really dig in. And I think this year, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say this at the year in review extravaganza with all my other colleagues, are this, and that is, are the Steelers and can the Steelers, for one time, think outside the box? Okay, they have to. They cannot continue to go into the draft and continue to just go on and on and on with trying to get players. They're going to have to take some of this salary cap money that they have available and start using it and getting some free agents in here to fix some holes that they have all across the board. I mean, we're talking about offensive line. We're talking about inside linebacker. We're talking about defensive backs, wide receiver. The biggest one is the offensive line. They really need to fix that up. I saw a couple guys at the Senior Bowl. I like that kid from Minnesota. He's big. He's 380. All right, I like him. I think he's draftable. I don't know about first round. And the Steelers don't need to take a quarterback in the first round. What they need to do is let Mason Rudolph or whoever is going to play this year manage the game. Let them manage the game. Get a good running game going. Okay, and then the play action, and the offense can run itself. That is how offenses can run themselves. You know what? The Steelers have won before. Bill Cowher, he never had a franchise quarterback for real. I mean, if you consider Cordell Stewart a franchise quarterback, he really wasn't. But what I'm saying is, Bill Cowher didn't have a franchise quarterback until Ben showed up. And then he only had to work with Ben for a couple of years. And then on top after that, then he went ahead and he started to get himself together. And, I just recently became friends on Facebook with Tommy Maddox. He's selling real estate now. Before that, he was working in Arena League, bagging groceries, cleaning toilets. He was doing something before he joined the Steelers back in the day. But, those things are, a thing of the past as far as that goes. All right, let's talk about Pitt football. All right, new offensive coordinator Frank Cignetti Jr. has emphasized the running game. So guess what? Pitt's going to start stockpiling running backs. Frank Cignetti Jr. was the offensive coordinator under Dave Wannstedt when Wannstedt was the offensive coordinator, or when he was the head coach at Pitt. And now Frank Cignetti is back, and it's great to see him back because he does most of what he does is a running game. If you watch BC, Boston College this year, they mainly ran the football, and Jerkovich, all he had to do was manage the game. That is all it takes to do that. And Pitt's the same way. They ran this big passing NFL offense under Mark Whipple, and you see where that went. Mark Whipple is now with Nebraska, so I don't know what Nebraska's an old school team too that won under Tom Osborne for a long time. And, things changed there too. They used to just run the football, hard-nosed Nebraska football. And now, Scott Frost is there. You got Mark Whipple as his offensive coordinator. So they're going to go into this big pass-happy thing. And the people in Nebraska, especially the alum and many others, they don't appreciate that kind of stuff because that's not Nebraska football. It never was. When Bill Callahan was the coach there, and that was the sorriest thing that ever happened, it turns out that, that's the way they did things. Well, now Frank Cignetti has brought his running game type of offense here to Pitt. And he was a great offensive coordinator when he worked with Dave Wannstedt, who I wish Pitt never fired. Steve Peterson was behind that with a second stint. We'll talk about that another time. But Frank Cignetti being back is great because, and also recruiting. Frank Cignetti is a very good recruiter, and it's great to have him back as well, doing that as well. Also, listen to this. Pat Narduzzi, they're working on a contract extension for him. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, okay? I feel this. This is his 8th season as the coach of Pitt, all right? In these 8 seasons, what has he done other than this year to deserve a contract extension? Okay? He's gone to some bowl games and lost, all right? He won the Fast Lane Bowl a few years back, or the Quick Lane Bowl, the Quick Lane Bowl up in Detroit. They beat one of the Michigans, I think it was Eastern or whatever, Southern or whoever, Michigan. They beat them in the Quick Lane Bowl, all right? And this year they lost in the Peach Bowl because he wouldn't step up and tell Kenny Pickett he needs to play. Instead, he told Kenny Pickett, "Oh, it's okay for you to go to the NFL, so you don't have to play." Then after the Peach Bowl was over, there was a fight right behind where the sideline was, and nobody from the Pitt coaching staff broke the fight up. Somebody from security that involves the stadium had to break it up, and it cost us an athlete. Cam Bright, one of our linebackers, transferred to Washington because of it, okay? And a lot of the guys did transfer, and it wasn't just because of playing time. It was because of unfinished business. I said this before, I'll say it again, unfinished business. And, I get these people who Facebook me and go, "Ralph, you don't know what you're talking about." And I'm going to give you one prime example of this. There was a discussion on Facebook. I'm part of the Pitt Fanatics group. And the discussion was firing Jeff Capel, the basketball coach of Pitt. Of course, as you know, he's not doing real well. And I said, and a lot of times I'm right. And when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. I will admit I'm wrong. And there are a lot of media people like myself who do these shows and do many things that think they're always right all the time. Well, you know what? I'm not always right. And I haven't been. But I was right about this. I said Heather Lyke will never fire anybody. And that's the truth. Why? Because yesterday, Pitt announced that they have now have a girls lacrosse team that's going to play in the ACC, in the girls lacrosse part of the ACC, okay? Turns out that, all right, they interviewed her and they asked her somebody came up and asked her about Jeff Capel. You want to know what Heather Lyke said? He has my confidence. So guess what, folks? What does that do? That makes me right. Okay? Because Jeff Capel is doing a horrible job as Pitt's men's basketball coach. All right? Last year he had a bunch of players that left, which wasn't his fault, by the way. Okay? Those of you who have listened to some of my prior shows, those of you, your first-time watchers and listeners of this podcast, and tonight we're broadcasting on StreamYard. We normally broadcast on Anchor, but tonight we're here live on YouTube. How do you like that one? All right. I haven't been on YouTube in a while. But anyway, here we are. And I'm telling you right now, I'll tell you what happened last year. Justin Champagnie and some other players were involved with this woman. The woman was a friend of Champagnie's and these other two athletes, or these other two players. I didn't get their names. All I know was Champagnie was involved, according to my source. Anyway, my source told me that them three were involved in a situation over a woman. This woman happened to be friends with all three of them. And then she had sex with one of them, and one of them got her pregnant. And it caused big friction and drama. I mean, you don't know what happened last year. I mean, Jeff Capel lost all of his players. They all transferred out. All because of that drama. Okay? And that's like now, the Steelers need an offensive line coach, and they haven't hired one yet. Okay? Mike Munchak, everybody's saying because Mike Munchak got fired well, I don't know if he got fired, But I mean, Vic Fangio got fired, and Mike Munchak's hanging in the lurch, figuring out what he's going to do with himself. So as of right now, he doesn't have a job. Okay. Nathaniel Hackett's the new head coach there. I don't know if he's bringing him on or if he already hired somebody. Nobody knows. But anyway, he's available. They're saying, why not bring back Mike Munchak? Well, you know what? Mike Munchak left. He says, well, I have to leave. I have family issues. My family's in Denver, Colorado. So that's where he went. Okay. Well, it turns out, too, that I have sources. My co-host is one of my sources on my TV version of on PCTV here in Pittsburgh, Channel 21, Comcast locally, Channel 47, Verizon locally, and also on PCTV's Facebook page. You can watch my TV show. My new co-host is Smoking Jim Frazier. Okay, I can get information from him. He scouts for the Steelers. All right. You know what a guy to have for a co-host. But anyway, he didn't give me this information, but I did get it from somebody else. Mike Munchak left too because he got tired of the Antonio Brown drama involving with this whole thing that Mike Tomlin let go under the carpet. Okay. There's a lot of things here in town, in Pittsburgh, that Mike Tomlin lets get out of control with the Steelers. They say he's a player's coach, but he lets things get out of hand. But anyway, that is why these players left the Pitt basketball program. All right. They didn't want to deal with this stuff. And it involved that, and Jeff Capel did nothing to clean it up. There are people out there who are coaches, and they say, well, I'm just a coach. I'm not a babysitter. Well, have you ever watched the show Bar Rescue? And John Taffer says, well, you're a supervisor. Well, I'm not a babysitter. Oh, welcome to management. Yes, you have to be a babysitter when you're a head coach or any kind of coach, because that comes with the job. And if you can't accept the job like that, then you shouldn't have taken the job. Jeff Capel didn't know what he was getting himself into when he came to Pitt. And the sad part about this is Coach K's last season is this year, and somebody else has taken over. It could have been Jeff Capel, but he failed so miserably at Pitt that Coach K decided to hire somebody else or get somebody else to take his place. All right. I mean, I'm sure Duke would have bought out the Jeff Capel's contract. I know I would have if Jeff Capel was that good of a commodity of a coach. He was a great assistant with Coach K. But that's all well and good and gone. But you know what? I did say it, didn't I? Heather Lyke, the athletic director for Pitt, fires nobody. All right. And that's a simple fact right there. All right, let's stay on Pitt football for 1 second here. I want to talk about Kenny Pickett, his future, what my feelings are about Kenny Pickett. And I have some other media colleagues out there that feel the same way I do. Kenny Pickett let his team down. He didn't play in the Peach Bowl, which he should have, okay? He was more worried about, which again, and I blame Coach Narduzzi for this, because he should have said, you need to play. He didn't say anything to him about that at all. Here's a guy that spent 5 years at Pitt, helped you get to where you need to be, but then you just let him wander off into the pasture like an animal. Okay? Kenny Pickett should have played in that game. And then he let his team down by not playing in the game and hanging around up in the press box with a headset on eating French fries. You can't do that kind of stuff. It doesn't work that way. All right? So what I'm saying to you is this, and that is that if that's the way it's going to go with Narduzzi handling players like Kenny Pickett, then I think it's time for Pitt to take a look at a new coach, because that's not the way you handle things as a coach. I believe that to be the situation. But anyway, we welcome those of you watching on StreamYard tonight. I'm live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Ralph Williams, and I have a show called Sports Corner. And we're in a corner tonight, right here in the corner. Sports Corner. We talk sports, mostly Pittsburgh. I talk some national stuff. I have NFL news coming up. We're going to talk about this discrimination thing with Brian Flores and how it's been opened. He opened up a can of worms that the NFL can't close. And the NFL now looks embarrassed. I don't know if it's the NFL or if it's just Brian Flores. It could just be Brian Flores too, but I don't know that. But anyway, Kenny Pickett, like I said, he let his team down. And now he's going into the NFL, and he's going to be in the NFL draft. Now, 2 mock drafts have him being drafted. Both of them have him at number 9 to the Denver Broncos. And a bunch of other scouts have said, and a bunch of other folks have said, and experts, that he's possibly going to slide to the Steelers. Now, the Steelers did say if he slides to them, they will take him. But if he's not there, Steelers are not going to sweat it out. They already have other options. They have other plans. They have too many other worries than quarterback. But Kenny Pickett, sure, he'd be a good quarterback. I wouldn't start him immediately. I would let him sit and learn. That's how you do it with a quarterback. You don't throw him out to the dogs. We have a very good quarterbacks coach for the Steelers, and his name is Mike Sullivan, just like the Penguins coach. But this Mike Sullivan, he was the one who coached Eli Manning. That's how long he was with the Giants organization, through all this coaching mess. Yes, indeed, he did. All right, we have transfer from Akron, the Pitt football team, Kanata Mumfield. He's a wide receiver. That's great to hear. Pitt needs some wide receiver help anyway because a few guys went into the transfer portal. One of my favorites was Shocky Shock Louise. I was real surprised that he went into the transfer portal, but you know what? He had to because he wasn't getting any playing time. And I believe Mark Whipple didn't use him properly. He could have used him for some gadget plays and some other things. And he was just like a lost soul swimming in a fishbowl, as Pink Floyd would say. So, and also, if we're going to continue talking a little bit more about Kenny Pickett. Now, Kenny Pickett had a good Senior Bowl, but whoop-de-doo, because I'm going to explain why I say whoop-de-doo, because he played in a game that we all knew he was going to be good in. He really didn't play long, okay? He only played like the first quarter, okay? He executed a touchdown drive, which I will give him that, all right? So anyway, being the fact that he did this touchdown drive, all the scouts got to take a look at him. Now, Pro Day's coming up in March, okay, at Pitt, at the Steeler facility where Pitt practices along with the Steelers. They share the facility. It turns out that Pitt's going to have their Pro Day next month in March. So the pros get to come and see Kenny Pickett some more. They get to see what he's about. Then you have the scouting combine. Now we'll see what Kenny Pickett's made of then. Okay? What he did at the Senior Bowl was just a little bitty, teeny little bit. But he could have showed more off at the Peach Bowl. And a lot of these teams are looking at him like, well, is he going to let his team down? Is he not going to show up? Is he going to say, I don't want to play? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? That's the mystery of Kenny Pickett right now. All right? Malik Willis was looking good at the Senior Bowl from Liberty. All right? Sam Howell looked good. They had that Wrecker, whatever his name is, from Cincinnati. He looked good. His name's not even, or Ritter. I'm sorry, his name was Ritter. Yeah, Ritter. He looked good. So, but that's the Senior Bowl. Let's see what they do in the combine workouts. Let's see what they do in their pro days. Okay? That's just a little bit of the element of the scouts of the NFL checking these players out to see what goes on. And we'll see what Kenny Pickett's made of. But I'm not real pleased with Kenny Pickett right now. I'm not happy with him at all. Because it's just like, you have a girlfriend and you take her to the prom dance, and then after the prom dance is over, you take her to some important thing, and then you break up with her after you've been with him for 5 years. That's what Kenny Pickett did to Pitt. So should anybody be thankful for that? No. But you got these people out here that are so concerned about his NFL career, so concerned about that, so concerned about, well, what about Pitt? This is the first time in 40 years that Pitt was prominent. I'm talking about a decent bowl game. I'm talking about an opportunity to put this program on the map with this bowl game in the Peach Bowl. And then we have the quarterback that we did have, Nick Patty, gets hurt after the first touchdown drive. All right. This is what I'm saying about Kenny Pickett. Take it for what you want. You could call me every name in the book, and I don't care. That's what I think about Kenny Pickett, and I think he did Pitt wrong. He did the fans of Pitt wrong, and he did the city of Pittsburgh wrong. Okay? By not playing in the Peach Bowl and completing what was called unfinished business. All right, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins for a moment. Turns out Evgeny Malkin's not having a really good year. He's only played 12 games. He was hurt with a knee injury last year, but now he has COVID. So guess what? He's out now for COVID. And also Ron Hextall said he is pursuing a backup goalie for the playoffs. You know, last year, Tristan Jarry got stuck playing all kind of throughout the whole playoff games, and I think he had fatigue. His backup is Casey D. Smith, who's 50-50 more or less. But we have Luis Dominique and Casey D. Smith were supposed to have a goalie competition, and that didn't happen because Luis Dominique has a lower body injury. So now that went bye-byes. All right. So now they have now there's nothing. So Casey D. Smith, he had a pretty average game. Last two games he did play. Okay. Well, now with this All-Star break and a little bit of rest, maybe the Penguins can start winning some more games. They lost 4 before the All-Star game because they had played 7 of 11 games within 1 week, which I thought was quite cruel that the NHL would set that up like that, but that's the case. Plus, I think a couple of games had to be switched around because of COVID. Okay, and if you watch my show or listen to my show, The Way I See It, last show I did on Friday, I think it was probably my best show ever of The Way I See It, because I talked about how everything to blame for everything that's wrong with everything in this country is because of COVID. All right. Anyway, let's get back to sports. We'll talk about COVID on The Way I See It. Friday, The Way I See It, right here on StreamYard. We're going to be here live, right here on YouTube, on Facebook as well. Absolutely, you know it. We're going to be here. This is my first broadcast here on StreamYard. Those of you who are watching, it's great to have you aboard. Super duper. I hope that, also, here we go. I wanted to tell everybody out there as well. I'm hooking up with Mark Mancini Productions from Los Angeles. And Mark Mancini and I are going to be on Blog Talk Radio quite often. He's going to be my producer. He's a great producer, too. So he's going to be producing all my shows. And I'm going to be out there on national broadcasts all across the country, including here on YouTube and on Facebook. So tune in to the Sports Corner podcast with me, Ralph Williams. That's right. I'm new. I'm here. But guess what? I'm not going nowhere. No. All right. Now, then Ron Hextall also said, who happens to be our general manager and former Philadelphia Flyer, and we also have our director of player personnel, Brian Burke. But Hextall says there's a slight possibility of three key free agents. He's only able to sign 2. Okay. So my question to you out there, if you're a Penguin fan, do you sign? All right, here's the 3 guys: Brian Rust, okay, Chris Letang, and Evgeny Malkin. Of the 3, which 2 would you sign? I want to hear from you tonight here live on YouTube. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think. Should we sign? Well, how would you? What 2 players would you pick? Me? I would pick Brian Rust and Evgeny Malkin. Chris Letang, Chris Letang's not a bad player, but lately he's been a bum, and I don't like him, and I don't think he offers any value to the team, and he's been hurt a lot throughout his career here. Okay, I do not like Chris Letang. I do not think he's valuable to the team anymore, and I hear stories now that Kasper and Kasper's in. They're looking to unload him. Well, of course, so why not? We gave up a #1 draft pick for him, and he has done nothing. Okay? And that's something you're going to hear me say a lot around here on this program, done nothing. Because you know why? They've done nothing. And I only speak the truth. I don't say or fabricate anything. I speak the truth. And the truth is he's a bum and he hasn't done anything. He's done nothing. All right? Jeff Carter's done a lot. Anini, the new guys they brought in, have done well. What they could bring in. Hextall's tried to do what he can. He had some salary cap issues this past year, and now he's gonna be what they call in a pickle. Why? Because he doesn't know who of the three he thinks he has to look at the numbers that we're only going to be able to sign 2 of these 3 guys. So that's going to become a problem for Mike Sullivan and the Pens. A big problem. All right, let's move on. NFL news. Now, here's something that really bothers me here. All these retread coaches. Why do we have all these retread coaches? Can somebody please tell me why we have these retread coaches? Why? Okay. All right. Dennis Allen is the new coach with the Saints. He was with the Oakland Raiders, and they were 4-12. What? He's this great defensive coordinator, okay? But now you want to bump him up as head coach. This guy did nothing when he was with the Raiders. Nothing when he was their head coach. Now you have him as the head coach of the Saints. The Saints, all the years that Sean Payton was the coach there. And Drew Brees was the quarterback. My goodness. Jacksonville Jaguars, I think this is a great hire. They should have hired this guy before, Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson is the new coach there. He's the only of all these retreads that I have any faith in. All right. Levy Smith with the Houston Texans. Oh my gosh, man. I tell you what, Levy Smith, are you kidding me? I mean, are you joking with me here? Yeah, that's right. Levy Smith is a joke. He was with the Bears. He got fired. Then he was with Tampa Bay, and he didn't do that great. Then he went to the University of Illinois and did even worse. So now he's back, and now he's the head coach of the Houston Texans. When are the Texans going to get it right here with these coaches? All right, oh man, I tell you what. Sometimes I get a brain freeze here. They had, yeah, I know, Bill O'Brien. There we go. Former Penn State coach, former New England. Speaking of that, I think he's going to go back. He's going back to work in New England. Bill O'Brien is. And also, Joe Judge is going back. He's going to be an offensive specialist. I was going to tell you about that later on, but while we're on the subject, why not? Everybody that once worked for Belichick, or they're all going back to Belichick because they can't coach. And now Josh McDaniel got his second chance too. Here's another one. He was with Denver. He didn't do nothing. All right. Wow. What a crazy world here with these coaching hires. I mean, I'm telling you, it's really out of control here because what's happening is they're bringing back all these retreads. Mike McDaniel's new coach at Miami. Well, he's not a retread. All right. They're talking to Vic Fangio to be the defensive coordinator. There you go. Good defensive coordinator. Horrible coach, Vic Fangio. Don Wink Martindale, new defensive coordinator with the Giants. Graham, that Graham guy, took a job somewhere else. So now the Giants fill in with him. Joe Judge, as I mentioned earlier, going back to New England. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is there are people, retreads everywhere, going every place. It's amazing. And you know something? Brian Leftwich and Todd Bowles are going to be staying with Tampa Bay because neither one of them got head coaching jobs. I'm glad for that because Todd Bowles, he stinks as a head coach. He was with the Jets. There's another one. Okay? Byron Leftwich, he shot himself in the foot. Let me tell you how he did that. He went to interview for Jacksonville and then goes and tells Jacksonville, oh, I'll work for you. When they were just getting ready to give him a contract, he says, I'll work for you, but you got to get rid of the general manager. Me and him, we don't get along. Really? That's why Byron Leftwich didn't get a coaching job. Who does that? Who goes on a job interview, tells the guy that's interviewing you, well, I can't work for this guy. What? Are you crazy? Something wrong with you. Why would you do that? Maybe he wanted to go back and work with Bruce Arians. I have no clue. But you don't have Tom Brady this year. So we'll see what happens there. All right. All right. The Pro Bowl. What a joke. It was nothing but a joke. But it was good to see. We had 4 Steelers there. Deontay Johnson caught a 2-point conversion, which was great. All right. T.J. Watt was involved in several different instances that I saw, including that quarterback strip, and Myles Garrett picked it up, ran it in for a touchdown. All right. What a joke. They shouldn't even have that game. It's terrible. All right. Also, now let's get into this. The Brian Flores lawsuit and the Rooney Rule. Okay. You know, the NFL and the coaches and the organizations in the NFL have taken advantage of this Rooney Rule for so long now, and it's getting even worse because you're supposed to hire minority candidates, okay, or at least interview minority candidates. It needs to be changed because you are interviewing minority candidates, but you're not hiring them. Okay, maybe they don't have what you're looking for. I don't know that, okay? But there are teams out here, owners who are racist, who don't want to hire minority people. They have to now, okay? But they've worked their way around, seem to, don't want to follow the rules. They seem to want to just work their way around the Rooney Rule any way they can and manipulate the situation. And now Brian Flores, Hugh Jackson, and all these others have now started to open up a can of worms that can't be closed. And the bottom line here is that this is what we're looking at right now with this. And the NFL got egg on their face. Brian Flores, you might as well forget about coaching in the NFL. He should go coach some prison football team because I don't think anybody would hire him. Okay? Unless they're one of those people who are like a Trump fan. Somebody that likes Donald Trump. Oh, he speaks what he feels. But you speak what you feel, but you don't put your foot in your mouth. I mean, I realize that's like coming clean on that stuff. I understand what's going on, Brian Flores, but you just screwed yourself out of any kind of a job in the NFL other than maybe cleaning the toilets. Because it looks to me like what you said you should have kept to yourself. All right? But maybe Brian Flores did get screwed. Maybe these teams did pay these coaches to blow games so they can get the top pick in the NFL for the draft. Okay? I've been saying that. I said this the last time, that the Steelers should have did that. What the Steelers should have done was fire Mike Tomlin after the last season. Okay? All right? After last season. Not this season, last season. Should have fired him. Totally rebuild. Okay? Tomlin's part of the problem, the Steelers. They should have told Ben they should have never brought Ben back for this year. This was an embarrassing thing. He would have been better off retiring after last year because he didn't really accomplish anything this year at all. He really didn't. He didn't go to the Super Bowl, all right, to finish his career in retirement. All right. So he should have been fired. They should have got a new coach in here. Let the team be sad for 2 years. The third year, start going after the Super Bowl. Okay? Then you can build your team with drafting the free agents. All right? But you got some of these teams, who knows? Maybe they are deliberately being sad because they want that top pick every single season. That could happen. This could all be true. But then again, it could be a full baloney. We don't know that. Brian Flores really opened up a can of worms around here, and now everyone's coming to find out that the Rooney Rule is being manipulated. And now they're calling for change to the Rooney Rule. And you know what's interesting? Roger Goodell's not going to go after these owners because guess who he works for? The owners. He works for the owners. And ever since Gene Upshaw stepped down as the union rep for the players are screwed. Because whoever's in charge now does nothing to the players. Not a thing. None at all. Okay? And that's exactly what it is. All right? The owners win again. They can manipulate this whole situation. Okay? Yeah, they interview black candidates. Eric Bieniemy's been interviewed for every coaching job there is. Still doesn't have one. He'd be better off waiting for Andy Reid to retire. Who knows how long that might take? You catch what I'm saying? Eric Bieniemy's a great coach. Byron Leftwich is a good coach. But see, Byron Leftwich did what Brian Flores did. Stuck his foot in his mouth. When you're going for a job interview, you don't do that. You wait till you get the job. Maybe you can wiggle yourself around that. I can't get along with the general manager thing. Okay? But at least Byron Leftwich was honest. He said, look, I can't work with this guy. I really can't. That's the way it goes. I can't work with him. I'm sorry. All right. Let's talk about some local high school sports here. It's great to hear that Mount Lebanon football coach Bob Palko was given an award for NFL's National High School Coach of the Year. You know, Bob Palko, if you're familiar with Bob Palko, his son Tyler Palko played in the NFL. His son Tyler Palko played for the Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, played for Pitt. Okay. He played during the Not My Fault Walt era, Walt Harris. He also played for Dave Wannstedt for one season. And then he was in the NFL a little bit. He played as a backup quarterback, started a few games. His dad's been a coach forever. He was a coach at West Allegheny. They ran him out just like they run everybody else out, okay, in these high school teams in this town. They do it all the time, all right? But congratulations to Bob Palko. You deserve it. You're a good coach, a great person, Bob Palko. Secondly, Bob Frederick, listen to this one. Southmoreland School District here in the western Pennsylvania area, Pittsburgh area, hired a guy named Bob Frederick, great character guy from what I hear. I don't know much of him. Okay, great character guy. Okay, what I hear. He's a great person, great coach. Southmoreland School District hired him. The day they hired him, he died, 40 years old. And he leaves a family of 5 kids. Oh my gosh. That's sad. That really is. Eric Kasperovich drops a lawsuit against Pine Richland. Now, those of you out there who are first-time watchers and listeners to my show, I expressed my opinion on the way I see it and on this program about my thoughts about Pine Richland High School's administration. Well, they did it to Eric Kasperovich again. And they did it so bad that I think he needed to bend over, and he cleaned out a jar of KY. That's how bad this got. That's how bad they screwed him. Okay. Eric Kasperovich was fired from his job at Pine Richland High School. He was the head coach. Pine Richland was doing well, by the way. Now they got this new administrator and these new people on the administration. Okay. Now, I will say this. The parents and the players went ballistic. They did everything they could to try this, but the school board and the administration, of course, they're going to do whatever they want anyway, and they're not going to listen to you. They don't care. That's the new norm in this world now. Nobody cares, nobody listens. Okay? But that's what Pine Richland did. They didn't care. They didn't listen to the parents, they didn't listen to the students, okay, or the players. All right. So anyway, Eric Kasperovich gets fired. He gets accused of some kind of hazing incident went on. But here there was an administrator that just come on board, and he wasn't satisfied with Coach K's attitude. Okay? So therefore, he ran him out. Well, Coach K sued the school. He was working at Pitt as a volunteer football coach. He was working with the football program as a volunteer. Now, I'm trying to get him on my show, and I'm working on that right now because on my show, The Way I See It, he told me he couldn't be on because of the lawsuit. And I guess, when you were involved in a lawsuit, you're involved in a gag order where you really can't get on with the media and start talking about stuff. Well, I'm trying to get him on The Way I See It or on this program to talk about what's going on. Well, he dropped the lawsuit because he wanted his job back at Pine Richland. They didn't give it back to him. They gave the job to John LaDawn. John LaDawn's a good coach. He's with Penn Hills. All right. And Penn Hills was bad, a little bit bad after Neil Gordon left. All right. They were in and out here and there, but John LaDawn was a good coach. And now he's going to Pine Richland. He's going to be a good coach there as well. But here, they didn't even, I don't know what they did, but he didn't get the job back. And the guy that they hired, this Campos guy, he stepped down because of health issues, and Pine Richland stunk this year. They stunk the joint up. So here we are. Pine Richland had to go third time around. But stick it to Coach K because he filed a lawsuit against you because you acted stupid. And you know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Stupid never takes a vacation. All right? But that was dumb. And then you go ahead and now you won't even let him have his job back after he dropped. He did you a favor. All right? He could have dragged this in court and made you pay up. And believe me, you would have paid up. Pine Richland, sad. All right, Bell Vernon's Cole Waitman is going to commit to IUP. All right, good for IUP because Cole Waitman's a good athlete from Bell Vernon. All right, you're watching and listening to Sports Corner. Tonight's our first night here on the new StreamYard is where we are tonight. Right here. Those of you new to the show, it's great to have you aboard. Also, if you live in the Pittsburgh area, you can watch my show on my other entities that I have here, PCTV channel 21, and also channel 21 Comcast, 47 Verizon, and also on PCTV's Facebook page, and also on Roku. You can watch this on Fire Stick, and you can also watch PCTV on Apple TV as well. And also, PCTV has an app that you can download as well. You can watch my show, Sports Corner, on Saturdays at 5 p.m. steady. Now, I have something for you that you're going to love, okay? Coming up on February 28th. Make sure you put this on your calendar, all right? Because it's going to be here on YouTube, all right? It's going to be on PCTV's Facebook page, and it's going to be on PCTV. The Year in Sports Review Extravaganza. Me, my co-host for my TV show, Smokin' Jim Frazier, who is also a co-host on Steel City Sports World. Claudia Rosano, Hall of Famer, co-host of The Boxing Authorities and Steel City Sports World. So is Smokin' Jim Frazier as well. You know, Claudia Rosano, Luther Dupree, and Smokin' Jim Frazier, they have his boxing show. It's really interesting. Not only do they talk about the different fights, but they add a little humor to it, a little bit of information, and they put everything into a really good perspective. And I believe that perspective has really helped this show. All right, so watch it as well on PCTV, and they're on the Fight Network, or the Live Network, LIV Network. It's a boxing network. This show's on that too. I tell you what, they're making it with the Boxing Authorities. Steel City Sports World also 6 o'clock on Saturday, right after me. I'm on at 5 with Sports Corner. All right. Well, get this. Luther Dupree, who's the host, and also on those two shows. Claudia Rosano, who's on those two shows. And Smokin' Jim Frazier's on those shows, and my co-host as well. We're all going to be together, along with another gentleman who has a talk show in the Bethel Park section of Pittsburgh called Pittsburgh Sportsline. And guess who one of his co-hosts is Smokin' Jim Frazier. He's the host. His name is Alan Levine. He's going to be on with us. And we're all going to talk about the Year in Sports Review in Pittsburgh. And you know what? This was done years ago on a radio station who I'm not going to mention in town here in Pittsburgh. But they stopped doing it because the corporate people took over these stations and they stopped doing it. They would have guests from different stations, different newspapers come on and talk. Not anymore. I'm bringing it back, but guess what? It's the first time it's on TV. Yes. And now, February the 28th, 6 p.m., mark it in your calendar. Don't miss it. We're going to talk about the Steelers, the Pirates, the Penguins, and the Pitt football team and Pitt athletics. What can be done to fix their teams this year? What do they need to do? All of them. What they did last season. Did it work? Did it not work? What happened? Okay? That's what's going to be on the show. We're going to talk a little bit more about this Brian Flores and his discrimination and the Rooney Rule. We're going to talk about this. All right? And tonight I'm going to close with a little bit of this commentary. Those of you out there, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are Steeler fans, I'm going to bring this question up on the sports review because I think it's a valid question. Do you believe that Art Rooney II, who is the owner of the Steelers, do you believe he ever wants to win a Super Bowl? Because here's the reason I say this. For the last 5 years, he has not, I don't think he's been paying attention too well as to what's going on with his team. You got a coach who has lost his team, and Mike Tomlin. You have players that have left the team, got lied to by the team or whatever. Okay. Art II, I think you need to take the blinders off. Quit doing the Steeler way and start thinking outside the box. There has to be a better way because you're not going to ever go back to the Super Bowl with what you've been doing. Because if you wanted to, you would position your team to have the right players and the right coach to go to the Super Bowl. What do you think every other team in the NFL has done? Okay? I know you won 4 Super Bowls in the 70s, but that was a whole different era. Things have changed. You got to think outside the box. It's not the 70s anymore, Art. It's really not. And I don't think you're thinking of today. If you did, you wouldn't have brought Ben Roethlisberger back. What, did you think he was going to win the Super Bowl this year with that offensive line? Did you think he was going to win the Super Bowl with Najee Harris? And I know Najee Harris had a great year, but he had to struggle for all them yards because of the offensive line. Okay? You gave your team horses, but you didn't give them thoroughbreds. Okay? This year, coming up, this so-called revamp or so-called rebuild, put in a different perspective, like you always sugarcoat things like that. And this is why you have the problems you have with your team. I don't think you want to win a Super Bowl. I really believe that to be true. You're satisfied with just going to one stage of the playoffs and being done and being embarrassed. Because this is the second year in a row that you went to the playoffs and in the first round and you got embarrassed. And last year, you got embarrassed by the redheaded stepchild, the Cleveland Browns. This year, you got embarrassed by Cincinnati not once but twice, and they're in the Super Bowl. All right, excuse me. Yeah, Cincinnati's in the Super Bowl with the Rams. All right, Art II, wake up, or sell your portion of the team to a Mark Cuban or somebody who wants to win. You understand? Because I don't think you want to win a Super Bowl. Because if you did, you would have given Mike Tomlin and this team everything he needs to go to the Super Bowl. That's what Tampa Bay does. That's what New England does. That's what everybody else does. But no, the Steelers are still thinking of the 70s when they were so dominant. If you would have drafted Dan Marino, we would have 10 or 15 Super Bowls. But you didn't. You drafted a drunk. All right? I know you probably were potty training by that time. But do you catch what I'm saying? No, I don't think you were potty training. I apologize. I think you were in your 20s, maybe 30s, something like that, when that all went down. Do you see what I'm saying, Art the Second? It took to the end of the season for Steeler fans and everybody to finally blame the front office. I've been blaming the front office since the beginning. And you know, I had Alan Levine, the talking machine from Bethel Park TV, on my show. And he said, and Claudio Rosano said the same thing. And that is, you're a head of a corporation. Okay? When you're not doing your job, you need to go. Okay? Too many players on Facebook, too many players on Instagram, too much foolish BS. Mike Tomlin got to go. Okay? That's not the Steeler way. He's thinking outside the box. He's letting them do whatever they want. It's a circus there. That's why no good coach wants to come and coach for him. That's right. And take a look at this, Art the Second, Mike Tomlin, Kevin Colbert, everybody in the Steeler organization, from the janitor all the way to Art the Second in the minority ownership. The Bengals are in the Super Bowl this year. They're the big dogs now. The big cats. The Bengal tiger. Yeah. And they're biting you in the butt because you're no longer the king of the camp anymore. And that's sad. Bengals versus the LA Rams Sunday, Super Bowl. Think the Rams are going to win. I don't know. You know what? Joe Burrow surprised me a lot because I thought when he had that knee injury, he wasn't going to come back, and I thought he wasn't going to be the same. And here we are. He's in the Super Bowl. That's better comeback than Ben. But at least he made it to the Super Bowl. Ben didn't. And you know what? I'm glad we had Ben all these years, but we didn't need him the last couple because it was a waste of my time, everybody else's time having to watch him, his time, and the Steelers' money. Could have took that $14 million and went out and got some players this year. Instead, you spent it on Ben, who was in a offense that he can't even run at his age. Why? He had to run his own plays. All right. The think and dink stuff from Randy Fichtner, he had to run this year because he can't move fast enough to run Matt Canada's offense. It was like shoving a square peg into a round hole. And guess what? I was right again. I told everybody. And guess what? I was right. Don't you love it? I love it when I'm right, and I'll tell you when I'm right. But you know what? I'll tell you when I'm wrong, too. Nobody else does that, but I do. That's why I'm different. I just love it. I really do. I seriously love every minute of it. That's right. That's exactly right. And you know, it's really it's funny. It's a joke. It really is. But I do thank everyone for watching and listening tonight. Here, my podcast on StreamYard, brand new. Yeah, StreamYard. We're here on YouTube, and we're going to be on Facebook later on. I'm uploading this to Facebook. Also, you can catch me on Anchor and Podbean as well. I'm Ralph Williams, Sports Corner, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's great to be here. And I want everybody to enjoy all my shows. And coming up Friday on here on StreamYard is The Way I See It. We'll be talking about, I got a lot to talk about, I always do. I bring you some good information, my opinion, and it's a great thing. That's what this is all about. And it's about a change in Pittsburgh talk. Because you know why? We have two radio stations here that don't want to let people like me on to tell it like it is. I have to tell it the way they want to hear it. Well, I'm doing that here. I'm telling it the way I look at it, the way I see it. And that's my other program. Friday, I'll be here on StreamYard Live, right here on YouTube and on Facebook and all around the country. Guess what? It's time to go. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for watching, listening. Be safe. God bless. Good night.